The first thing we need to do in order to create a parallax layer inside of a motion book is to prepare our layers from our scene. So here I'm assuming that you have some layers of a scene in Photoshop, and here you'll see I have an image with 5 different layers. There's a background that's a sky, there's some buildings, then there's some sinister looking men in the middle, a pillar almost in the front, and then the character called Mono in the front. So in Photoshop, I'm saving each individual layer in isolation as a PNG file. Now we're going to go into the Motion Book tool and upload those 5 PNG images. So I go ahead and hit the Upload Assets button on the Home tab, and go ahead and select those 5 images and upload them. Now we're going to go back into the Motion Book tool and create a new page. And in this page, we're going to create a single layer, and we're going to choose the parallax layer option. You'll notice that in the parallax layer controls, there's a new button down at the bottom. What we're going to do is we're going to drop each layer that we uploaded onto the new button within the parallax layer. So this is creating 5 layers within the parallax layer. Each one of those layers contains a separate element of your scene, and they're layered back to front. Let's go ahead and use the zoom control so that we can see everything. So you'll see that this looks just like it did in Photoshop, with all of the layers properly positioned back to front, all contained within a parallax layer. So let's see how this all looks. There's a handy feature you can see in the upper right-hand corner. Click the little iPad icon and then select iPad Portrait Preview. That just gives you an idea of what this will look like inside of an iPad. And then go ahead and click the Preview Parallax Motion. So this gives you an idea of the range of motion and how this parallax image will respond to both touch and to accelerometer slash gyro. You can play around with the various properties. So try setting the range of horizontal motion to 400, and then click Preview again, and you'll see that the whole scene moves a lot more from side to side. We didn't change the vertical motion, but you can change those as well. If you want to play around with some of the other properties, you can open up the Parallax control panel, and you'll see a variety of properties. One of the interesting ones is the depth factor. This changes the amount of variation that layers move from front to back. So if you use almost no motion in back, you'll see that the buildings layer, which is towards the back, moves very little relative to the front layer of mono. And you can play around with the various values there. So some have a little bit more motion in back, and some have very little motion in back. And you can go ahead and, for whatever your scene is, play with those properties. If you want to have your back layer move, what you'd want to do is insert an empty layer at the very bottom of the parallax layer. So right now, the back layer of a parallax, in this case it's the sky, doesn't move at all. If you wanted the sky to move a little bit, you could add an empty layer or, just a small layer that's invisible at the very bottom of the stack of parallax layer images.